Hello everyone, you welcome to this news hour on Equinoxe Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Babler Jonathan. Over 12 human rights lawyers are now battling to secure the freedom of a pregnant woman arrested and detained in the Boya Central Prison in the Southwest Regional Chief Town. And of course, the lawyers have taken the matter to court. The woman was arrested in connection to a relationship she is said to have had with one of the leading non-state armed group fighters in the Northwest region in the name of General No Pity. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. A 25-year-old young woman, pregnant, and her pregnancy about 8 months old, is in detention in the Boya Central Prison in the Southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. Konsa Antoinette was arrested in connection to a relationship she said to have had with one of the leading non-state armed group fighters, General No Pity, in the Northwest region of the country, with whom she had a child, and she is being detained in the Boya Central Prison. Human rights defenders have been condemning this other action of the National Armed Forces, and according to a report by the Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Africa, she was arrested by security and defense forces and tortured, brutalized before being taken for detention. We'll be talking more about this later in this newscast. Time for us to talk about the people of Babanki. And just like many other inhabitants of the northwest and southwest regions of the country, they have abandoned their villages. Many inhabitants of Babanki are now out of the village, and this is the situation that is prevailing in many villages in the two English-speaking regions of the country as the consequence of the close to 5-year-long armed conflict. And now the phone of Babanki goes to Limbe in the southwest region to call on his people to come back home, to come back and develop their village. Davidson Maimo reports.
So many people have not gone home since this crisis started. So the fund came here purposely to make a call that those who have not been coming to the village should return and support the village to develop the village, because that is our homeland.
Ake Abongre Emmanuel, Limbe branch president of the Babanki people, speaking during the visit of Fonveju Shite to his subject.
At times places are calm and at times are hot. I can only say we have relative peace back home. So we hope for a full peaceful situation within my community.
Sources within the Babanki community say the fund is on a peace and development mission with the diaspora to strategize on how to assist those back in the village.
The electricity system has been completely destroyed. The water system destroyed. That is why today there was a fundraising to go back and develop the village. We are thinking of home so much.
The people of Babanki added their voices to calls for an all-inclusive dialogue for peace to reign.
We really need an inclusive dialogue such that we come to an end of this long and unnecessary killings and fighting.
Fonveju Shite visit equally witnessed the official inauguration of the Babanki meeting hall in Limbe.
Davidson Maimo reporting there from Limbe in the southwest region of the country. Now we're going to talk about something else, notably a problem of protest in the Mongo Division littoral region of the Republic of Cameroon, and this new divisional officer is now fighting to coil down the unrest in that part of the country provoked by some social problems. Details in this report.
On October 4th, 2021, the inhabitants of Quarter 8 in Banga, Mongo Division, were in tears after a tree collapsed on a pregnant woman by name Pledikwa Maxelen while she went to do laundry at a stream. As a result of that incident, which took Mbanga by shock, the divisional officer, Nkefo Christian, ordered for the said stream to be cleaned up and every object which could cause harm to any civilian be removed. The DO, after seeing what happened to the woman, asked us to clean the place. This is also to protect us from other accidents.
So that means the water fine. And then for protect, for say me accident, not happen again for water like snake, fit come out, it bite man, oh, something fit bite person.
It is in this light that the divisional officer of Mbanga was himself present at the stream to see that his instructions were respected. The population took time off to cut the tree that killed Pledikwa Maxilin and also cleaned the entire stream. The prayer of the inhabitants of Quarter 8 is that such an incident shouldn't happen again in their locality.
That was Radas Manjik and Gabriel reporting there on efforts by the administration to clear some dangerous things that could be harmful to the population. A tree that killed a pregnant woman in that part of the country. Now we go now to this report on the deplorable state of roads in the locality of Akom de Azem. That is in the central region of in the south region of the Republic of Cameroon, and Mother Glory reports that the people are disgruntled about the state of their roads. Her report.
On the way to Akom 2, one is advised to take a two-wheel drive than one of the local vehicles which normally run on this stretch of road, and because of this deplorable state of road, which is worsening by the day, one will dare not contradict. We then set out on a long journey to one of the most enclave parts of Ocean Division in the south region of Cameroon. After a long struggle through the villages of Azem, Engom, Mayo and Zigi, our real mystery started at Koleyen. This village is known for its marshy state of road of about 85 kilometers, which separates Ebolova from Akom 2. And surprisingly, we landed on a vehicle which got stuck in the mud. Faced with the situation, the driver calls for help from these villagers who luckily have not gone out for their normal farm work. Those who are in good mood most of the time motivate us, and those in bad mood go their way. The deplorable state of road is one of the highest trouble for the locals living in this area. At different levels of a journey, the passengers are sometimes forced to drop from their vehicles to permit the driver drive through the mud. According to a businessman in this locality, they need miracles sometimes to carry their products to the market. After loading, you will need to wait until you can get someone to help you. Else, you will have to wait until God can send you help. The road is really bad. Before heading on a journey, we need to take the car to the mechanic for a good reinforcement. When loading, I put 3 people in front and 8 behind. We continued our journey to the Mefo village, situated in a distance of about 50 kilometers from Ebolova and about 30 kilometers from Akom 2, which is made of tracks. Here we stop for a break. After the break, we continued to Elon village, where recently government officials met to calm the angry population of this locality, who are tired of living in darkness, and later to the Elom village, where the situation is unfavorable. Here in Indopep, as it is commonly known, another vehicle gets stuck in the mud as some village youths come around to help, while on the other hand, this driver makes a fast drive pass through the muddy and slippery road. Despite the difficulties on the way, we finally get to Akom 2. Here we are discouraged to continue the journey because the road from here to Kribi is a nightmare. For those who wish to go to this town of Kribi, go through Ebolova, Yaoundé or Edea on a transport fare of about 10,000 to 15,000 francs CFA, while taking into consideration the fluctuation fares from Akom 2 and Ebolova. After our experience in this locality, one will understand that the population living in this part of the country expresses anger over failed presidential promises. With a muddy road of about 10 kilometers, how will you pass? I don't understand. The government has abandoned us. The people only have pending projects while they suffer in pain.
That's it for the first part of this newscast. Talking Point comes up next. Joining us from the United States of America, Dr. Emma Osong is a civil society leader, founder of Women for Permanent Peace based on justice. Doctor, you're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Jonathan Babula. Thank you for having me on your program on this solemn day. I'm glad to be here.
All right, equally joining us from the United States of America is Barrister Neneba Innocent Akufo. He's an attorney and counselor at law in New York, human rights defender and major proponent of decolonization. Barrister, you're welcome.
Always a pleasure, Mr. Babila, and also to thank Dr. Emma Osong on being on the other side of the panel. Although we are in the same country, but different states. Again, always a pleasure being on Equinoxe.
Thank you.
I begin with you, Dr. Emma Osong. You are a woman, you are a mother, and we are talking about a woman like you who is pregnant with a pregnancy of 8 months, a mother of 2, expecting a 3rd child, and she's been detained in the Boya Central Prison as a civil society leader. What's your take on this?
Babula, first of all, my heart breaks on 2 levels. On the first level, I join every mother in the territory of Southern Cameroon, every mother throughout Cameroon, to mourn the baby Caroline. I want to send out my heartfelt condolences to the mother of the slain child whose head was blown by the military. My prayers, our collective prayers for that mother. My heart breaks on the second level. That, Jonathan, what I'm about to say would sound outrageous, mainly to those who bury their heads in the sand. And it's this. Cameroon is a failed state. Let me repeat. The construct Cameroon is a failed state, and I say it without fear, favor, or persecution. Here is why. The systematic, widespread targeting of women and children, and the humiliation of women, the question of the dignity or indignity of women. In this case, Mrs. Antoinette, how do you spell the last name? Gola, 8 months pregnant. Number 2, Cameroon is a state of lawlessness. We see that in the execution of babies, in the incarceration and remanding of young Sandra and Miran, who are still languishing in adult jail. My outrage is still out here. The use of rape as instrument of war. We have seen that over and over, and the execution of young girls who already are 3 times traumatized, first by war, by displacement, and then at the hands of a so-called Republican army. I say this without fear or favor. I am angered, I am saddened, and I'm with tears. Number 3, the acts of impunity committed on a daily basis, Mr. Jonathan, that is now normalized to the point where every 5 kilometers or less, our urban centers are militarized in the form of checkpoint. Let me ask my quote, Francophone brothers, how would they feel living in a land of their birth, and every few kilometers they have to take out an identity card to show who they are in the land of their birth? Today as we speak, there is a French audio message taped by a mother traumatized to learn that her 15-year-old son is in the hands of the military in Uganda. And she is pleading. And I'm sure this woman has redemption today because she spoke the language of the apostle. Let me conclude.
Mr. Innocent. Yes, Dr. Osong.
I have to say this before you interrupt me. Moja is not a law enforcement officer. Moja is a threat to humanity. He has no warrant of arrest. He arrested and remanded this pregnant woman into the custody of the military, whose dignity is being subjected. Let us not even go to the fact that the threat of our pregnancy is real and present in every woman's mind, and the traumatization of her children having been arrested in front of her. Babila, we don't have enough time, but I'll stop so that I have an opportunity for my brother to intervene. I am upset. Every mother out there needs to be outraged.
Mr. Innocent Aneneba, the 25-year-old young woman was arrested in connection to a relationship she said to have had with a leading non-state armed group fighter, General No Pity. That was in the past, and she's been arrested in connection to this. What do you think about this thing that this happening that is linked to a relationship with somebody, and then she's picked up like that?
Again, Mr. Babila, thank you so much for getting me on this platform. And I echo the frustrations and the sentiments of my sister Emma also on the other side, because we should equally be outrageous as people of the Southern Cameroon's origin, and even Cameroonians, the Republic of Cameroon itself, they should be outrageous. If that gentleman, I saw that video going online, him trying to arrest people, as my sister said, he had no arrest warrant, and he was trying to arrest somebody because she has an affiliation to somebody that they think is an armed fighter. And if this is a war zone, by implication, Mr. Moja and his acolytes, they are violating Geneva Conventions, and he is subject to that. They may think that their jurisdiction, keeps them within Cameroon, but they are violating international law. And under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, we do understand that in its preamble, everyone has a right to life. Everyone has a right to happiness, and everyone has a right to be recognized everywhere as a human being. So if this gentleman takes upon himself to execute the law that he's not even authorized to do, he has violated international criminal law. And under the ICCPR, the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights, in its Article 6.1, you cannot really do anything on a pregnant woman, because you're violating somebody who does not even have a real life, right to life like yourself, or his right cannot actually be defended by society because that person is not yet been born yet. So if you and that also goes in international law, you cannot convict put a pregnant woman, sentence them to a death penalty, because you are by implication killing two lives. One that's innocent and one that, again, following the laws on which you try to judge that person, might be guilty or not guilty, but you cannot put that person, under the death penalty. So, women, they have a right just as well as, men have those rights also. And of course, pregnant women have to be protected. Mr. Moja and those people who did what they did to that lady, that because she belongs to, she's the girlfriend or the mother of an armed fighter, the wife of an armed fighter, he has violated international law. And I think the Center for Democracy in Africa, the organization that you mentioned in the beginning of the program, they have to take that course. And if they need assistance, they can always seek assistance from abroad. And they would find, recourse to the law because they have violated international law. They might be covered by their gendarmeries and their police officers back in Buea and in Cameroon. But again, the moral arc of justice is long, but it bends towards justice. So wherever they go, they would be found and they will be prosecuted under the law.
Another issue is about the circumstances of her arrest. According to the report of the Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Africa, she was picked up, molested, maltreated, and she's today suffering pains in her detention because of the fact that she was kicked on the buttocks, kicked on the stomach, and she lost some money in the course of all of that. What do you have to say about these circumstances of arrest?
Cameroon in 2008 signed the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women in New York. They signed it. They've acceded to that treaty, and they've signed it already. Whether they've crafted domestic laws in order to match what the international dictates requires of them, that I don't know yet. But just the fact that you pick up somebody, we talked about the due process of the law. You cannot be the judge, the jury, and the execution of the law by yourself because maybe you have the gun, you have the uniform on you, and you have people around you that support you to do that. That this lady was molested, manhandled, kicked, and shoved on the ground, or whatever they did to her, that was in violation of not just the laws of war, because the southern Cameroons and Cameroon, they are in the state of war. You can call it something. It is not a civil strife that they're trying to suppress. This is a state of war in which they are in, and whatever they do, they are bound by international law. They may think they can survive that territory for a while, but the hands of the law will catch up with them on some day, because they might be protected by the military. But this regime, which my sister said it's governed by a failed state, it is absolutely true. That's a truism. That's a true matter of the law. Cameroon is a failed state, and they should not bring that part of the fairness into the other part of the southern Cameroons, because these are two disjointed people with two legal systems, two things that are totally different. So if they are bringing that fairness to this other part of the country, they have to hit the call when the time comes for them to be answerable, not to the courts of Cameroon, because there is no justice there, but to the courts of international justice. And that's what would happen. Again, the molestation against that lady, whoever she was, even if she was a girlfriend to the armed fighter, you would not support, even if she was a wife or a girlfriend to a gendarmerie officer or a military officer, you don't treat them like that, because that's in a war zone, and they violated international conventions and the Geneva Convention. So they would be held.
Emma Osong, you are the founder and leader of Women for Permanent Peace and Justice in the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon. And this incident coming at a point in time when there are efforts and people talking from all over the globe for peace and normalcy to be restored in those two regions. What impact do you see on the situation in those two regions in the days ahead?
Mr. Babila, yes, I human whose target is focus on peace and justice, and we are victim focused. I think we are witnessing a time in our lives where we are way past the normalcy of organizing and the caravans for peace. There is no peace when there is a gun to your head. The question that we face today, Mr. Jonathan, is that again of a failed state, with the consequence being collective punishment. These young women who are being dragged and jailed without due process are victims of a state that has declared impunity on its citizens. So it is not about what we organize now, it's about what we are going to do to bring an end to this impunity that is being meted unsuspecting and innocent civilians. So my point in speaking on your platform, Mr. Jonathan, is to raise awareness, is to say the international community is yet again letting down the people of Southern Cameroon. They did so in 1961. They stood by in 1972. They were silent in 1984. They are silent in 2017, 5 years since they have remained silent with all these impunity crimes that are being described as genocidal. So I am here simply with all due humility to again add my voice to the few around to ask the question, where are ICRC in Cameroon? What are they doing? In case you don't know what that is, International Commission for the Red Cross. Where are you in Cameroon, ICRC? Where are you, Africa Union, and all the arms and organs of an institution supposedly to uphold the Article 1 of their charter that they all are in it? I am here simply to add my voice if anyone out there is listening in the media regime. It is time to allow an independent international inquiry into the horrific crimes that are
Dr.
taking
Emma
place.
Osong, we have exhausted our time, and I said earlier that over 12 human rights lawyers are now battling to secure the release of Consul Antoinette, including Barrister Edward Lyonga Ewule and Barrister Tamfu Richard, who are taking the matter to court. Dr. Emma Osong, thank you so much for joining us today.
Throw our support behind them and make sure that all the vulnerable people in jail are released.
So thank you so much for your time. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today.